Welcome back. In this module, we're going to continue discussing fallacies of distraction. Now, distraction is a really popular technique when it comes to persuading people, so we still have several more fallacies of distraction to discuss. Now, we did discuss ad hominem arguments in Module 3, so this will be a review. If you recall, the form of an ad hominem argument goes something like this. Premise, person A believes X. Premise, person A is stupid or ugly or has some other unrelated problem. Conclusion, X is false. What makes this a fallacy? The proof of the claim hinges on who says it and something about the person who says it. It doesn't have to do with the argument itself. Here are a couple of examples. Person A, the mayor says we should clean up our city parks. Person B, yeah, well, the mayor's a loser anyway. Put in argument form, this might say, premise, the mayor says we should clean up our city parks. Premise, the mayor is a loser. Conclusion, therefore, we don't need to clean up our city parks. This conclusion was implied in the conversation between person A and person B. Why is this fallacious? Well, because saying that the mayor is a loser doesn't actually tell us anything about her or whether her ideas are good. It's just a personal attack. If you use such an attack in other situations, you can see how fallacious it really is. Person A, 5 plus 5 equals 10. Person B, yeah, well, I don't have to believe you because you're a loser anyway. Person B calling person A names does not change the fact that 5 plus 5 does equal 10. Another example. Person A, we should teach logical fallacies in the public schools, starting in 6th grade. Person B, yeah, well, what do you know? You got a ticket for running a red light. What's fallacious about this argument? Person B isn't name-calling this time, but person B is bringing up an unrelated incident that exposes a weakness of person A. Again, if we fill out a chart to discuss reasons for and against teaching logical fallacies in school, we can see that there are some legitimate reasons for and against teaching logical fallacies in school, or whatever other topic might be under discussion. However, the person who suggested it got a ticket for running a red light doesn't stack up against the others. If you're thinking this is similar to the genetic fallacy from the last module, you are correct. They are not exactly the same thing. The genetic fallacy claims something is true or false or good or bad based on its origin and not based on the thing itself. An ad hominem argument could also use origins fallaciously against a person. So there is some overlap. An ad hominem argument could also just resort to name-calling, declaring a person stupid or ugly regardless of their origins. On the other hand, the genetic fallacy could apply to things or ideas, whereas ad hominem is specifically an attack on the person. So, how do you know whether to classify a particular argument as one fallacy or another? Ultimately, there isn't a hard and fast answer. One argument could fit multiple fallacies. Other times, more than one could fit, but there is one that fits best. This extends to arguments of all fallacies, not just ad hominem or genetic fallacy. The most important thing in the real world is that if you recognize fallacious reasoning in an argument, that makes it fallacious, regardless of the name of the fallacy. You've probably seen or even used this fallacy before. It's called avoiding the question, and it means avoiding the question. Avoiding the question that is asked and giving some other answer. Person A asks person B a question. Person B responds with something other than a direct response to the question. That's the basic form. Here are a few examples. Ethel: why did you do that? Red: why do you do the things you do? Here, Red is avoiding answering Ethel's question by asking her a different question. There is actually not much more that can be said about that. He's avoiding the question. Dawn: do you like my dress? Alex: wow, that is really an original design! Where did you get that? Here, Alex is avoiding directly answering Dawn's question. He says other things about the dress and tries to sound enthusiastic about it, but he doesn't actually say if he likes it. We don't know for sure, but maybe he doesn't like it, but he doesn't want to hurt Dawn's feelings. Now, avoiding the question and changing the subject are techniques that skilled politicians often use publicly. Now, here's a fictitious example that showed up in 2016 in The Guardian. Interviewer: the situation in Syria is causing huge concern. Do you have any plans to involve British troops on the ground? British politician: there can be no solution to Syria that isn't taken in concert with international partners. Do you see how the politician avoided directly answering the interviewer? She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. Instead, she said it would have to be done in cooperation with their international partners, which tells us nothing of whether she is planning to send troops or not. Avoiding the question does not always have to be a fallacy. It becomes a fallacy when an avoiding the question answer is accepted like a direct answer. Sometimes people listening don't realize that the question hasn't really been answered. They might even forget what the original question was. This is also what makes avoiding the question a fallacy of distraction. The avoidance of the question can distract other people from the original question. If they're distracted effectively enough, they can actually believe that they've received the answers that they need. The easiest way to bring up our next fallacy is to talk about our toothpaste ad from Module 2. If you recall, there was a nice little statistic on the ad that says, recommended by 9 out of 10 dentists surveyed. Now, there may not be anything wrong or faulty with the statistic itself. Presumably, there was a survey taken of 10 dentists where 9 of them recommended that toothpaste. So where does the fallacy come in? Well, as we discussed before, the ad doesn't tell us anything about the survey. What question were the dentists asked to respond to? If the question was, what's your favorite toothpaste that starts with an M and ends with a Y, there aren't too many other brands that they could choose, regardless of how good Minty toothpaste actually is. The people doing the study might also have just asked 10 dentists who were likely to recommend Minty toothpaste, which would also explain why 9 out of 10 dentists surveyed recommend it. We don't know what that 10th one was thinking. Unfortunately, there are lots of ways statistics can be manipulated. So when you're looking at statistics, make sure that you correctly understand what they are really reporting. Appealing to statistics becomes a fallacy when the statistics aren't really clear or reliable, but they are treated like they are. Here's another statistic you could see in an ad. Kids who eat pancakes for breakfast improve their school performance by as much as 30%. Does this make you want to have pancakes for breakfast? It sounds good. But do we know what was actually tested in the study? School performance improved by as much as 30% over what? Over not having any breakfast? That's not too surprising, really. Over all other possible breakfasts? If so, that would make pancakes sound like brain food, but we don't know that that was what was tested. Frankly, it probably wasn't. That would be really hard to test. And then there's the as much as qualifier. That means that a given kid's performance might have improved by 30%, but it also might have been much less. Maybe one kid's performance improved 30%, but everyone else's only improved 2%. Unfortunately, that could be true, but consumers would never know it from the ad. The ad doesn't tell us. When is it not a fallacy to appeal to statistics as proof of an argument? If the people using the statistics are open about the source of their information and exactly what was measured, and that the study was done scientifically, and if the statistics still really support the argument. For instance, if our pancake study was carried out in a controlled test environment at a major university and researchers found that kids who ate pancakes consistently outperformed kids who ate oatmeal, there might be something to that. Time for the next quiz. Good luck!